There's always a problem. It doesn't matter how much preparation you put into these videos. Something goes wrong. It's so frustrating. Start recording. There you go. What's up everybody, and welcome to a brand new tutorial where we are going to be covering how to deploy Server 2016 through MDT 8450. So what we're going to do today is we're not going to do it through CM. We're going to do it the old school way, because what we're doing here is we're actually putting together a lab. Now, I've been putting together this lab for a long time, and there are plenty of videos actually going through how to build bits and pieces in our lab. But because of certain hardware problems that I've literally had to completely destroy everything that I had, and I've got to start again. Which is not good, but it is what it is, and I've got to build it again. So here we go. We're going to be setting up MDT. Now, I've already set up MDT 8450 in a previous video. The link is somewhere here or in the description. I can't quite remember where I put it. So that there takes you through how to install MDT and get it all up and running. And I covered how to deploy Windows 10 in that. So I'm not going to be covering the whole click next, install this, do that. I'm not going to be doing that today. All I'm going to be doing is how to install Server 16, which is actually phenomenally easy, but it is something that we need to get done and able to build a lab quickly. One of the problems with Server 16 is all of the cumulative updates. Now, you think a cumulative update is basically you deploy from RTM and then you whack on a cumulative update and hey, everything's bang up to date. Well, yeah, not quite. I mean, it can take like, I don't know, 10 minutes to deploy an operating system, maybe a bit faster depending upon your hardware. But you're looking at that top 10-15 minute mark to actually get that OS deployed. But it can take like half an hour or an hour to then deploy a cumulative update. This was all fine until 2018-05 cumulative update, because after that it's still going to have to apply 07 as well, because before it was you deployed it and it applied 03 or straight to 04 or straight to 05. Now we're on like July, we're on like 07. It should be RTM straight in with the 07. Don't work that way. Oh, no. It's RTM, then it's straight in with, oh, let's apply 05 because I can't seem to get past this point, and then I will apply 07. So now we're getting to this whole 2012 R2 situation where updates are now starting to take forever, and I mean like forever. I'm patching for like, what, nearly 40 minutes now, and it's just too long. So this is where the whole making a perfect operating system comes in, so that you can actually get the RTM deployed, you get 2005 deployed onto it, get 07 deployed onto it, you know, patch it up, apply anything that you need to get done, and then capture it back. And then that image is then ready to be like banged out. You start getting that lab together, you think, yeah, I want a bit of a DPM action, or I want a bit of CM action. You want to be chucking out those VMs quick. You need MDT to be able to do that. So this is what we're going to do. So I'm going to stop yakking now. So come over to your MDT VM. Okay, so what you want to be doing is you want to be opening up the deployment toolbench. So remember, we've already got MDT installed here, yeah? If you go over to your operating systems and you right click and do an import, you want a full set of files. Now, what you want to do is go off and grab your ISO, wherever that may be. If you double click on your ISO, it'll actually mount it to an E drive, yeah? So when you go to import an operating system, you want to say a full set of source files. Browse, and then browse to the drive you've just mounted, which in our case is E. Hit OK, hit next. And then that'll import the RTM or the latest version of Server 16 that you've downloaded. It'll import it into MDT to be able for you to be able to manipulate it. So it doesn't take too long for that to whiz through. The machine that I'm using has multiple SSDs in it, so we've got a whole SSD RAID going on here. So it's the I/O is pretty quick on the lab machine. And that's kind of what you want. I mean, we're moving a lot of data around, and especially when we're learning how to do things, you're doing these things repetitively over and over again. You don't want to be waiting for things to be happening. You just want it bang, bang, bang. You want it quick. So once that's actually finished, so you hit finish. Go over to task sequences. Now what we want to do is we want to be able to create a capture task sequence. So we're going to go to new capture, new task sequence. Give it a number, I don't know, whatever you want. 0050. Right, and we're going to call this capture Windows Server 2016. Hit next. Now it always defaults to standard client task sequence. What you want to do is change that to a standard server task sequence. It is important that you change it over to that particular task sequence. Okay, so what we do is we hit next and we pick an operating system. Now read the wording very carefully here, because we've got data center core, server standard core. Make sure you get the right one. I'm going to be using standard. As much as I love core, I prefer the GUI version. My PowerShell's alright. You like a bit of PowerShell. If something's repeatable, then it's cool. And core's great for that. Put it in, bang, to leave it going. Never touch it again. Excellent. Core's great for that. But for learning, we need the GUI. So we hit next. We do not specify a product key because it's a reference image. Hit next. Give it standard details. Organizational unit will be, I don't know, a test company limited. Yeah. Hit next. Do not specify a password, because if you do specify a password, it's going to be asking you for that password when it's trying to do its deployment, and you don't want that. Right, hit next, and then it'll create it, and it takes a couple of seconds. Hit finish. Right, then what we do, right, before you start getting way straight in there, hold on a second. Right click on that, go to properties, go over to task sequence. What we need to do is we need to be able to switch on Windows Update. So you click on the window update both pre and post, okay, and take out the tick in the disables bit, yeah, on both of them, because it's disabled by default. Don't know why, but it is. And what we want to be able to do as well is if I just pop into my Windows 10 sequence, there it is. Right, this is the line I want. I'll put this line into the description, yeah. What you want to do is put this in after your pre-update. So you've got your pre-Windows updates. It'll do the whole deployment. It'll put it into the OS. It'll do the first initial patching. But what you want to do then is hold it, freeze it. If you freeze it, you'll be able to add in anything specialist that you want to do. You might not want to do anything, but it's good to be able just to hold the sequence. Just to say, right, look, this is what we are going to be deploying. So you might want to add any particular services like .NET 3, Telnet, anything like that you want to add, you can do. So what we do is we go over to Add, General, run a command line, and paste that in there. cscript.exe, script root % LTI suspend WSF, and that will tell it to hold. So we'll rename the description to hold task sequence like that. The thing is, we also put in a Windows update in the post bit, because if you add anything that then needs updates, probably not so much on server. It is for Windows 10, because if you're adding, like, I don't know, Office, something like that, then you're going to have to apply updates afterwards. Probably not so much with server, but it's worth just putting it in there. It'll do another quick check. If there's nothing to apply, it'll just move on. So just for a bit of sort of security, it's worth just security, peace of mind, you know, a bit of peace of mind. That's what we like, peace of mind. Okay, so hit apply, hit OK. Now then, what we need to do now is if we swing back to our main machine that's running all of these, is we want to create a brand new VM. So this is going to be our reference machine. So we'll call this create ref 16. Store it on a different location. Store it wherever you like, really, but make sure it's a Gen 1. Don't, whatever you do, use Gen 2 because it puts all the SCSI drivers in there and gets a bit messy. Just Gen 1, it's just basic. It's good enough for a reference image. Hit next. Give it a reasonable amount of memory, not overly bothered really. Hit next. Connect it to a whatever network, which I can't seem to do. Give it a hard drive size of 45 gig. You want it reasonably small. Don't be too tight with it because of updates and things. And what we're going to do is we're going to boot from the ISO that MDT has produced. I'll quickly just cover that actually. So if you go back into MDT, under deployment share, under MDT there, if you say update deployment share, that will create your ISO files based on the settings you've done. I'm not covering MDT installation here, so look at the other video, I cover it in there, but just very quickly, that's how you do it. And what that does is that produces a file inside your deployment share under boot. Yes, boot. Go into boot and that's the file. So grab that file and copy it somewhere else, wherever you're building, wherever this machine here can access, so you can boot from it. Yeah. If you're booting from a network, make sure your permissions are correct. It's only 300 meg. Don't bother prattling about with permissions and trying to get it to access network shares. Just copy it to the hypervisor. Boot from it and done. Why bother? Anyway, before we actually start doing it, always make sure you go into the settings and jump up the CPUs a bit, because you only own one and we want to get this done quickly. I don't want prattling about. So bang it up to like a minimum of 2. Try and do 4. And then actually boot this baby. So right click on it and hit start. And what should happen is it should now boot up. So it's using that ISO file that we put together, and it's now talking to the MDT server to say, what task sequences have we got? What have you actually prepared for me today? And what have we prepared? We've prepared server 16 yumminess. So wait for it to boot. Say, yep, off we trot. This is where it all goes hideously wrong. And then I have to start cutting videos and going, oh my God, what happened? I put so much preparation into these videos and then you forget something and it just goes. So after a few minutes, maybe 5, if you haven't already predefined the password credentials, which I haven't here quite clearly, for accessing network shares, then you need to be able to enter it here. So this is the username and password that you would use to connect to MDT itself. So for me, it's just the basic server credentials. It's not on a domain, it's only a work group. So and it should now go off MDT and say, what task sequences have you got for me? And we got, ta-da! We got this many. So we got capture, server 16, hit next. Now we haven't automated the hell out of this, so it's like everything is answered for you and Oh, to be honest, creating a reference image is like something that you do every 3 or 6 months, or maybe even once a year. Probably once a year, maybe on servers. So why spend so long, 2-3 days, trying to make the ultimate perfect capture, when really it's only a couple of questions? You only do it a couple of times a year. What does it matter? So anyway, don't bother setting a computer name. Don't bother joining it to the domain. Whatever you do, do not join it to the domain, because SysPrep will go horribly there. It's just a whole bag of horribleness. You just don't want it. Okay, so go to next. Specify. Yeah, I've had issues with this before. I don't really know what to do, really. Do you specify as UK? Do you leave it as United States? Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I've always had issues with it. I don't know. I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll give it a go. We'll give it a go. Okay, so we're going to specify United Kingdom. Keyboard layout is United Kingdom. And we'll also set the time zone to be United Kingdom. I think... I'm sure there are issues with changing it with like SysPrep, and I can't remember now. I need to look at it again. But if you've got issues with it, just leave it as US, because you can always change it again anyway. It's not a problem. So this is actually potentially quite dangerous for me to be doing this right now, because it could actually go wrong, and we don't want it to go wrong. So hit next. Now then, we're saying, are we going to be capturing back? Yeah, we are capturing back, and we're going to call it that. That's fine. Hit next. And go. That's it. It's whizzing through. It really is as simple as that. Now it is a waiting game. So we're going to be picking up the main OS. We're going to be putting it onto this machine. We're going to be patching it. It's going to hold for you, and it's going to put a little icon on the desktop that says resume task sequence. You do what you want, customize it, make it perfect. And then once you're finished, actually, before you hit that icon saying resume task sequence, yeah, take a snapshot. Because you are going to kick yourself if something goes wrong in the SysPrep, and Microsoft, in all of their lovely yumminess, have done something or added an app or something like that breaks the SysPrep. Because trust me, this happens in Windows 10 quite frequently. All right. If they've done something, it will break your deployment. So it's always best to be able to capture, so you can go through the logs, work out what went wrong to fix it, and then continue the deployment. And I'll give it another go. And if it's gone horribly wrong, then at least you can document it and then start the capture process again. It's not too bad. It's just wasting time, but hey ho. So what we'll do is we will stop the video now. We will come back. Okay, the time is 4:30. It has taken 3 hours to actually put that together. Shocking. I don't ever remember it taking so long before, but obviously we do have those multiple layers of cumulative updates. We've got that 05, then we've got 07. It doesn't seem to matter where you come in, that 05 is going to apply. So obviously 05 is a prerequisite to whatever's coming next, in our case 07. So anyway, after all that is done, we have now got a resume task sequence. Now what we can do is we can take a little snapshot or checkpoint, and we can say resume. So we can do that, and then that will take a copy as is now. So what you're able to do is we could go into Server Manager. I mean, there are other ways to do this. You could actually do it as part of the task sequence. But what you could do is you could say, I want .NET 3. Yeah, you could add that in there. You could go through and you could say, I'll have SNMP service. Yes. I will have my Telnet client. You define what's what. This is the best place to do it all. So once you've done that, hit next and install it all. Yeah. Once you're ready and you go, okay, I now have my perfect Server 16 image. The Server 16 image of all images. You can then hit, please, hit resume. It'll have another quick check of Windows Update. I literally can't look. Will it work? Will it not? Who knows? We shall find out. But if it doesn't work, we'll work it out. I mean, these things happen. Not everything works first time. That's the problem. Not everything works the first time, and that is one of the beauty about doing tutorials for you guys, because we all learn together. So we are currently executing sysprep. So this is now stripping everything out of the image. Sysprep has been around since pretty much day 0. So we all know what that does. Strips everything out. We will then capture the image back to MDT, which then gives you a deployable image. So let's see if that goes through. We shall be right back. Okay, so we've got a bit of a drum roll going on now. We've got creating WIM. It's now thinking about it. And if we go into our MDT server very, very shortly, we should start seeing that image capture back. That's what we want to see. We want to be able to see that image capturing back. So I hate this. It's like one of those game shows where they go, and the winner is, and there's like just this like complete silence, and it's just like creating WIM. Are you going to do it? Are you going to fail? Are you going to blow up into my face and just throw away hours worth of work? Because that's usually what happens if it fails. It hasn't. It's actually worked. It has actually captured. Excellent. So good. What we do, zoom back, switch back to MDT, go back to that deployment share, go back to captures folder. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. Server 16 is capturing. See that little number there? See that little number? You see that little number there? That number there is counting up because the VM that you have put together, which is this one, is now writing back to MDT. So you've done it. Simple as that. So what we do now is, once that's done, we take that image and exactly what you've just done right at the very, very beginning of the video. Now, I remember covering this in Windows 10 and you guys were saying to me, oh, I've created this reference image. What do I do with it? Well, you just import it in exactly what you did before. You've created the Server 16 image. It's going to create you a WIM, but instead of saying full source set, you say whatever the wording is, a pre-prepared image. Yeah, that's what you're importing in, because that's what you've just created. Take that image, put that into MDT, create a task sequence with that WIM image, but just don't capture it. Why are you capturing it? Don't do that. Just go through the basics. Set it as UK, set any details that you want to set, and just deploy it. That's it. Yeah, not difficult. So we'll wait for that to whiz through. Okay, so we just coming to the end of that capture sequence. So the file, if we have a look, is 6 gig. So that's the size, 6 gig. That's the size of the image that you would be deploying. So what we're going to do now, once this is just finished faffing about, is we're going to re-import that back into MDT, and then we'll just do a very quick deployment just to show you how that works. Yep, fine. We've got a couple of warnings. What were the warnings? Unable to create web service class. Well, at least it worked, so that's good. I'll have to have a little bit of a Google to find out what that was. Okay, so we'll turn the we go back to MDT. This here, right here. This is what we're going to be importing. So if you go back to your operating systems, if you say import, and we will say no, I don't want to do that. Oh, that's new folder. Import, and we say custom file image, not full set of files, custom file image. Hit next, go to browse, and we import, move it as well. We import what we've just created, and we will call it destination. I don't know. Call it call it patched SVR16. Next, finish. Now obviously you should have a proper structure here where you create a new folder and you say server 2016 Windows 10. Have that whole structure there, because it'll be able to organize your files better. I'm just this is sort of quick and dirty. That's how I do things, quick and dirty. You can, if you want, if you're short on space, you can just ditch all these now. Don't need them because they're RTM. Ugh, dirty RTM. So you can actually remove them if you want. Just right click on them, hit delete, and next, and next, and finish. There you go, gone. Simple as that. If we go over to our task sequences and say a new task sequence, and we call this one deploy server 2016, and we change it over to standard server task sequence, exactly what we did before, but this time select the OS that you created. And on this particular one, you would be specifying a product key, because this is what you're deploying. This is your real image. I don't have a product key right here, right now, so I will not be entering it, but you would. Same with the thing. Same with the details. Windows user. I don't know. Windows company, spelled correctly. You could even set a home page. Yeah, it's just a customization. Hit next. You would be setting an administrator password, so I'm going to set it here. Actually type in a password that I'm confident with. And hit next. So we've got deploy server 16, and if we double click on that and then go to task sequence, this is everything that it's doing. Now you might want to do Windows Update, or you might not. This is also where, I mean, there's plenty of information out there on the old Google on what to do on certain bits. There's certain optimizations that you can apply to do with power config, and like for example, if you apply high performance batteries power savings in here right now, then your deployment will deploy faster. Yeah, because Windows PE doesn't have that kind of thing. This is where you actually do all these kind of things. But we're not covering that today. We're just covering a basic, put together an image, get rid of the whole I'm going to take 4 hours to create rubbish, and just deploy quickly. So what we're going to do is we're going to swing back to our machine. We're going to create a new one, and we're going to call this, because my next video is going to be on some configuration manager stuff. So I'm going to deploy a VM for that. So I'm going to call this SCCM 01. Hit next. I am going to make it as G2. I am going to set, I'm going to set the memory at 12.384 if I can type, 384. I'm going to set my network, and I am going to set my hard drive, and I am going to point at the same ISO that we did before. Go to settings, remember to increase the processors because it's only over one. Hit apply. Get that baby booted. Ooh. Oh, it is booting. Can you tell I've had too much Red Bull today? I'm like pumped, people. I don't know what it is. Just server 16 just makes me so excited. It is quite. Where are we now? 2018, July 2018, in fact. So you can imagine how excited I am. Ooh, the server 19, which will be coming out very, very soon. And just imagine all those videos that I can do on it. Oh wow, it's just so amazing. It'll be an amazing operating system. It'll just look exactly the same as the last one, and it'll do exactly the same as the last one, and it'll have probably about 2 extra features. Okay, so once we get the prompt, we are going to type in our credentials for connecting to MDT. We're going to put as password in, and we're going to put the domain in, which is the workgroup name. And then we've got our new one we've just created, deploy server 16. That's the one we've just created now. So when we hit next, we want to put in the computer name, SCCM01. I'm not joining the domain because I haven't got my Active Directory box switched on at the moment, so we'll just leave that for now. I'm going to be setting the settings for United Kingdom, which will soon be not part of Europe. Go Brexit. And London time zone. We do not want to capture back, so hit next. I do not want BitLocker. Actually, I probably should cover that in a video. Do you guys want to see BitLocker? The whole MBAM thing, you know? If you do, leave a comment, yeah? Leave a comment in the description, and I'll do one, because I've done MBAM before. Oh my god, it's like extracting teeth, MBAM. MBAM 2.5 SP1. Oh, it's so exciting. Okay, that's it. It's off. As you can see, we're now doing our partitions. We're going to apply our image. Everything is all hunky-dory, and we are now deploying the operating system that we just created. Now, I'm not going to hang around for this because this is just basic stuff, but for now, that is done. So guys, that is how you put together a Server 2016 image through MDT. That, I hope, has provided you with enough information to create an operating system of perfection. Fully patched, fully configured, and ready to be bursting your labs full of 2016 goodness. If you like the video, hit that like button, and if you haven't subscribed already, please do so, and then you will never ever miss another video from the channel again. Until next time, see you later.